Hello, this is Grime II. And we got quite a long opening cutscene, so let's just get right into it. Yeah, Grime II is the sequel to Grime 1, a sort of Metroidvania-ish, Souls-like-ish 2D game. Which I really love, and I would love to be able to showcase this awesome run. The game is very combat and parry focused, but there's a good amount of tricky movement stuff as well. We are currently very early in the game's speedrun life cycle. Just released last, well, I guess now 2 months ago. Just over a month ago. So we are still dying a lot. We are still taking lots of safeties. I imagine by the time any of the showcases this would be submitted to are happening, would be a lot better at not dying. But you know, this game still has a lot of really good safeties, which make it a pretty solid marathon game. Let's start the timer here. This is any percent restricted, so we're not going out of bounds. That's basically all that means. Not doing any egregious things. Any percent gets the game's only ending, but there's actually it's actually the longer of the two current main categories we have, and the two categories that I'm submitting. The shorter one is satiated percent, which kind of takes the role of what you would normally see as an any percent category, with any percent in this game being maybe more analogous to true ending in a lot of Metroidvanias. As we go through this tutorial section here and fight the tutorial boss. Yeah, so the game's roughly divided into 3 acts. And Satiated does the first 2 and ends on a critical choice, where if you pick the wrong choice, you get sent back to the main menu. So that's a quote-unquote ending of sorts, although it does not roll credits. Well, this any percent goes to the actual credits all the way through Act 3. But they both do a lot of the same things, and so this one commentary will suffice for the both of them, although I'll also, of course, show a run of satiated percent if you would prefer a shorter category. Here we're picking up our first major ability. You've already seen we're kind of dashing around and stuff, but now we have the grasp ability, which is kind of this game's signature ability, and really the signature ability of the series. It was called Pull in Grime 1. Lets us pull on various objects throughout the game, and some enemies as well in certain cases. And overall, very important for all sorts of things. And we'll get upgraded as well, being able to act like basically a grapple hook once we get a little bit farther into the game. Yeah, so we're in this first area, just kind of picking up some of our basic equipment that we're going to use. We already have our first weapon, which is a pretty solid weapon, honestly. And we'll use it for a decent bit of this early game. But before eventually switching to a different weapon that we pick up. But we're also grabbing these armor pieces and unlocking the seal here. Armor pieces will boost our stats. The seal, well, it looks like it just gives us the map. Well, why do we need a map in a speedrun? It's because there are 2 seals in each area, in fact. I need to remember what I'm doing here. And breaking this first one unlocks the map, but breaking the second one, so we do a little skip there. Breaking the second one gives us the ability to fast travel to anywhere in that area, which, as you can imagine, is pretty good in a Metroidvania. Yeah, so that's how we're doing that. We also have now assimilated the spiked finger, which is a mold. This is another major mechanic of the game. By dealing some damage to enemies and dashing into them, we can gain these molds, which are basically kind of special abilities that we can charge up and use. Every once in a while in combat. This one is very good on this boss as well, and just takes very little time to pick up, as well as being really good on one of the longest fights later on. So that's what we're currently doing. It's the only creature mold we will be picking up. But we will be picking up some item molds, which work slightly differently in a bit. And I'll explain that when we get to that. But first, here's our first big boss, the Bound Shell. Yeah, this is just a pretty kind of basic, we're going to be hitting the boss, placing down our molds when we have the chance. Now we're going into phase 2. We're parrying the boss. Our parry currently does not deal a huge quantity of damage, but as you'll see eventually, our main damage is going to be the parry in this run. So we will be powering that up. For now, we just kind of have to make do with this starter weapon. It's not too bad. Just 1 or 2 more hits. There we go. That's our first boss down. And yeah, most of the time there's going to be a lot of bosses in this run. Most of the time we are going to use our grasp ability to kind of absorb them and gain some sort of useful ability. This is an ability that's very useful for casual players, and if you're basically relying on anything other than parry damage. But for us, it's just kind of a nice extra thing for the couple of fights that our parry damage isn't very good on. This is Force. You see there's a second bar that has appeared below our health bar, which now, of course, disappears for this unlocking warp. But that will go down when we do actions. It acts kind of like a stamina bar, except instead of not being able to do things, when you run out of stamina. You can still do things. But when you have a lot of it, you deal a lot more damage with your weapon. So we're mostly going to be ignoring that in this speedrun, and it's just like, well, when it happens to give us a little extra damage on our weapon, that's fantastic. Because before our next boss, we will be immediately pivoting into parry damage, which does not, unfortunately, get the force damage boost. We have to give a weapon up, which is why we picked up a secondary weapon here. You can fight this, and this turns into an enemy. You give it a weapon, it turns into an enemy, and you can fight it, and it's a little tutorial thing, and it gives you your weapon back, and also a nice reward. However, we don't really care about that reward, and it takes too long to fight, so we're just abandoning that weapon forever. We're never going to use it. And yeah, we're going to be in a little bit of a movement section. Now. Let's see. This is actually one of the few places I really care about the force. Saves us some hits on that very annoyingly positioned enemy as we try to get up here. Another reason that we really care about this mold we picked up is that it one-shots breakable walls. And because we don't spec into weapon damage, sometimes breakable walls take a long time to destroy, because it turns out that you can't parry walls. Unfortunately. Pick up a little bit of money here. We are actually going to upgrade some of our stuff. And now we're in the part of the run where we start to meet the main characters of this story. So I should talk a little bit about the lore that's going on. We're somewhat of a force of nature, let's say. The opening cutscene we were referred to as a little egg, and we're told to feast and hatch. It's all very interesting imagery. But the upshot is that we're going to be kind of going around making a big mess of everything, and characters are going to either try to stop us, or maybe try to use our rampage for their own personal gain. So we just met one of the main characters, and here's the other, Manzel, who is going to interrogate us in long dialogue. Manzel will be kind of the main quest NPC who recognizes our great power and wants to use it for their own revenge. And we're very happy to go along with that, because, you know, we want to keep killing things and destroying things, and the person that Manzel wants to get revenge on, we'd be happy to help him out. And this over here is Vare, who is maybe not so happy about either of our plans, and will be somewhat of a tenuous ally throughout the game, as they do work for Manzel. But yeah, we're going to be, of course, ignoring them for the most part, because we're trying to just get this done as fast as possible. I want this over with. And the yoke is going to pop in and say, yeah, sure. I'll be happy to skip this dialogue for you. So we have in-universe dialogue skipping, which is very funny. It also means we just kind of choose the evil dialogue options most of the time. Yeah, we're forced to talk to some people here, take this safety bench Not a safety bench, it's just a required bench. Well, I'm calling it a bench because, you know, Hollow Knight speedrunner. Yeah, so this is Goldhead, who's going to upgrade our weapons and armor. We can only upgrade the weapon once here, but that'll be useful for some things. These are some people who we're never going to do anything with, but we need to talk to them to progress the story. And yeah, now we're going to... we're supposed to talk to Vare here again, but we don't need to do that. We can just jump over there. And we're all going. Also, while I was at that surrogate, that's what the save points are actually called in this game, I equipped a... I equipped an item mold. Oh my god. That's the worst. Which is another thing I picked up earlier. Which is basically, it's like a consumable that refreshes every time you take a save. And that's one that we're going to pick up a few of. We're going to pick up a couple of different item molds. We're going to get a few copies of this one, which basically lets us do a parry on anything whenever we want, and also interrupts some... It interrupts some boss attacks, although not all of them, but very useful. Can kind of get us out of some tough situations and also just deal a ton of damage because our parry is our damage. Yeah. And it's really good against bosses that don't have much in the way of good parryable attacks. We're just kind of... This game runs on an XP system, where you get some XP for killing enemies. So we're kind of using our grasp ability to... to pull on some platforms to make the enemies fall, get some free little XP to level up our parry damage stat mostly. We're gonna need to come back here as well, so we're unlocking all these early save points. And area warps. And we're upgrading this pliability stat, which is the parry damage stat. And now we're finally picking up our go-to weapon for the run. This is the attuning bow. It deals very little damage on its own. However, what it does do is applies stacks of this attunement condition that massively, well, not so massively anymore, but considerably increases our parry damage. Let's just heal here. As that is really just kind of the lowest investment way to get a lot of damage in this game, we prefer to do that rather than spending a lot of time upgrading weapons, getting tons more stats, getting traits, which are a thing that we're not even going to do at all in this game, but it's a whole other system of upgrades that's very cool. Yeah. So we keep around our maul axe here, our starter weapon, for things we can't parry, such as walls, and small enemies, but for every boss in the game, we're going to be primarily using this attuning bow. And we are just about to come up on our next major boss. At the top of this ladder, I'm going to return to checkpoint here, with checkpoints right next to me, but just a little safety to refill my health before this boss, because as I previously mentioned, these bosses in this game are very hard. And we take all the marathon safeties, we take all the normal run safeties. We tell this faceless bishop that we are a formless, and then we tell them that we don't care about the mountains. This is the one dialogue option in the game that we've really routed so far because it happens right before a boss that we've all been practicing a lot. Yeah, and now we will start to see this parry damage pop. There you see, I also, even more parry tech. Certain attacks you can parry multiple times. That's really nice. Alright, that's phase one. Unfortunately, this boss is really annoying. It's a very long phase transition. On the earlier patches of the game, when the attunement was actually even more OP than it is now, by quite a lot, you could basically build up the stacks on this boss, and then one-shot it before it even got a chance to do the phase transition, which I just think is delightful. However, unfortunately, they nerfed this a little bit, and now we gotta sit through that phase transition. That attack one-shots you. Be careful. Throw our embedding nail. This is the thing that kind of gives us a free parry. And you will kindly give me a parry more time. Thank you. That is this boss down. And this boss gives us another very important ability, as well as access to the next area. This is the grasp counter, which basically, I mentioned at the very beginning when I talked about grasp that we could use it on enemies. Well, actually, we couldn't really use it on enemies until now. Now some enemy attacks will basically be parryable with the grasp. Instead, there will be a little white dot on them, and we'll be able to, interrupt their attack and deal full parry damage, importantly. With that grasp ability. So very, very strong. And now we're also about to get our next major ability, because we can kind of just drop right down from here and grab it in this next area. That's a little upgrade material for our armor, which we'll use later. And right here is our based on grapple ability. So we're just right back to back getting our big upgrade for the grapple, for the grasp. We get to use it on enemies, and we also can pull ourselves to various things with this grasp hook, as you can see there. So yeah, we can get a lot of new places, and one of those new places is right up here. In order to get into the main city for this main quest of Act 1, we need to tell this NPC that we killed another one of them. I don't really understand why that's the whole point, but yeah, we're doing that. So we gotta take a brief dip down here to fight the Mountain-born. Who's gonna show off their power. Well, hopefully. Going down pretty fast to these parries. This is a boss that is extremely annoying to fight. If you can actually fight it without the grass counter that we just got, and oh boy, it is kind of a rough time. But once you have the grass counter, you'll see all these want to stay in front of the boss here. Oh, and hopefully not. Right by that attack. Now. Let's see here. Not die. Alright, there we go. Very nice. This gives us an ability that's useless, but we have to do it for the kill to count. Not an amazing fight, but yeah, that's lets you kind of get back some health when you die and kill the thing or parry the thing that killed you. But hopefully we're not gonna die. Well, we're probably gonna die in this one. Like I said, this game is very hard. We're still learning. But you know, speedrun routing wise, not particularly important. This is another recent little reroute here. Discovered it's slightly faster to get the fast travel points for this area, which means going a totally different way through it. Yeah. Is that the correct way? I think I'm going the wrong way. So, yeah, I just learned this movement yesterday. So. Very awkward area. I'm not so convinced this is right. Oh man. Sorry about all that. We're definitely learning. Definitely still learning this run over here. So it must be this way then. Alright, yeah. I had it right the first time. Okay. And then the other seal that we gotta break is right up here. And then we're just about getting into our next boss. Okay. This is going to be the first of 2 teapot related bosses. I don't know why there's multiple of them, but there are. Yeah, and this will be guarding the entrance to the kind of the main town area. Not too bad of a boss, all things considered. The other one, though, the next boss, is going to be honestly my pick for hardest boss in the run. It's kind of funny for a boss that's really very early into the run. The splits is that reroute. A literal first run with the reroute. Yeah. And we're getting pretty close to the end of the Act 1. Tell this mountain that we found and fought a different Mountain-born. And they're like, okay, thank you. I'll let you in now. This part of the run, we're just kind of walking around and talking to some people who we'll never talk to again. So this might be a time for donations. Honestly, all through that last boss as well. Not too much to say about it. Just needed to go through some dialogue trees to be allowed to progress. Go into the not the flashiest or like strictly scariest boss in the run, but I would say definitely the one that's most likely to kill me. And that's for really the simple reason that we have to fight a whole arena of normal enemies beforehand. So this is First Smith Malik. Or supposedly First Smith Malik. I don't care for their irksome squeaks. I want to eat this thing. So we're gonna naturally punch it, as you do to things you want to eat. And they're gonna be mildly unhappy with that. And I'm gonna miss my first parry, which is always a good sign. Not a fantastic start. We're gonna know exactly where the enemies are gonna spawn, thankfully. We got some good dialogue in the back. While all this is happening. But I'm just over here. Moving to the next thing. Alright, that was a good arena at least. I'm just gonna politely ask us to not destroy this second teapot. However, we are going to destroy it. This boss, in my opinion, is really hard, but it's so freaking slow in the first phase. Okay, that's good. I get my heal. This boss does kind of melt. As soon as you get to second phase basically just kind of speeds up the whole thing, which ironically makes it way easier in my opinion because the parries just flow so much better. And yeah, that's that boss. Very happy to have gotten that on my first try, including the arena. A lot of the time, thankfully, if you beat the arena, get a little music glitch here. Thankfully, if you beat the arena, you don't have to redo the arena. If you beat the arena and die to the boss, then you just have to fight the boss. We're trying to see the Breathsmith, who is in prison for treason. That's the plot of Act 1. I should have maybe explained that a little more. They're like, well, you did destroy our guards. However, if you kill the thing that we were going to send these guards to fight, we'll let you in anyway to the prison to see the person who committed treason. I don't really know why these people are letting the person who just, like, killed all their guards, sending them on a quest to let them say hi to a known criminal, supposedly, but yeah, I don't know, we're fine with it. So they're gonna be like, hey, well, you clearly are good at fighting, kill this other guy who we don't like. And we're like, okay, I love killing random things. So we're gonna do that. But first we're gonna talk to the edgy guys with the sword in their face, who serve no plot relevance in this run. But and this fight, in addition to providing the conclusion to Act 1, is also going to get us our wall jump, which will allow us to really properly progress throughout really most of the game. That's not the correct direction. One more. Little skip here. The skip talking to Vare, who's there. You can just kind of go right over the trigger. That's new. Oh, okay. It's fine. Sometimes you miss the wall, you know? You miss the platform, the floor. That's what it's called, the floor. Sometimes you just miss the floor. We're gonna go over here for a quick safety. Open that wall. Fights in here. This fight's also a little scary, mostly because the run back's kind of unfortunate. We broke that wall just to make the run back less bad. Shoutouts to the fake swears of this game. Oh, muddy mucking rust. But yeah, the annoying part of this fight is this guy on the right. That's not ideal. guy. He's so parryable. It's wonderful. However, sometimes you can even get a nice parry and also the grasp counter off. So once we deal with the ad, really just all you gotta do is click the parry button. Not that, you know, timing your parries isn't difficult. But, you know, in terms of speedrunner brain and the most difficult fights in this run, this does not necessarily rank up as one of them. And here's our wall jump. As well as we got our dash counter ability just then, which just basically means sometimes you can dash into enemies to interrupt them. And occasionally we will want to do that, but it doesn't deal parry damage, so we don't care very much a lot of the time. And now, seen me maybe click the return to checkpoint button a couple times, which is very nice. Here, it tries to make us do this tutorial for wall jump, so it blocks that button, but we can still just die on these spikes to get out of there. Yeah. So now we have to say, hey, we killed the guy you don't like. This Great Blade Preacher. And they're like, yeah, I don't know why you really wanted to talk to this guy so much, but we'll let you. And, well, we'll find out why we wanted to talk to this guy so much. Because, honestly, our character doesn't really know. Malik just told us, like, hey, deliver this thing. That's what you should do. So we're delivering this mysterious sphere to him. And here it is. Irgog the Breathsmith. Who will laugh at us for being small. And we're going to give them the locked sphere. And turns out it's a prison break, actually. Oops. Well, now we gotta escape prison too, because the guards certainly aren't letting us out after we just help the prisoner escape. You know, fair enough, I suppose. Thankfully, they don't pose too big of a threat. Hello. Well, I guess I can do this. I don't know why that platform just decided to not work. And then, as soon as we get out of the barrier that blocks you from returning to checkpoint, we can return to checkpoint. We gotta have these guys be like, hey, you just helped that guy get out of prison, but I don't think you meant to. You should probably not continue to help this guy, but we're gonna just continue to help Menzel because we want to wreck things, and Menzel is letting us wreck things. And you know, that's just nice. And that's functionally the end of Act 1. Because, well, technically we're supposed to go back to Menzel's house and have a bunch of cutscenes. We're actually going to wait a little bit to do that and go into the second act of the game. Right away. The game doesn't really try too hard to stop you from doing this once you have the wall jump. So we're gonna go here, and Well, it's probably a good time to explain what all is up with the second act of the game. The first act was just kind of linear. We're going to a place and we're delivering the thing. We get a bunch of abilities along the way. The second act, things opening up a lot more. We have three areas, basically three big bosses we gotta take down. We got 3 parts to build a big weapon that's gonna be used for revenge. Yeah, that's the upshot. Gather 3 parts for a weapon. Each one's guarded by a boss. Or rather, really, each one is part of a boss. We're just kind of, like, ripping the bosses apart for their parts. This game's just like that. And this also... So we got to kind of route around figuring out where we're going for those. And we're also going to be picking up a couple of quick abilities before we do any of them. Here is our burst jump, which is a super high jump. And we're also going to get our air dash. In a little bit. This is probably, I think it's the scariest movement section in the run. There's a lot of enemies that can kill you here. And it's a bit of a long run back, so... I'm gonna focus on for this bit. I'm gonna deal with this frickin' music glitch again. Oh, hello. Please. Okay, can't get on that thing. If you're fast enough, you can kind of beat the cycle on this. This is the real nasty bit. Especially if you do that attack. Okay, that's good though. We're going to simulate a smashing block. Yeah. You can do that, it's just hard. Alright, I'll just wait. The smashing block is another item mold, which are those kind of semi-consumable things. It really just deals a lot of damage. So we're gonna pick it up to deal a lot of damage against the bosses that we can't parry as effectively. We're gonna get 4 of them, which both means we have 4 uses and also upgrades their damage quite a bit. If I can climb this wall. It's very close to the first of our big bosses that we need to beat. But in order to access it, there's a big wall that wall of spikes that requires air dash. So we're gonna go take a quick detour to air dash, and then quit back and fight our first big boss. Another embedding there. This music is gonna go away soon. There we go. There's a couple of weird audio and visual glitches in this game still. It's a new game. Alright. And this first big boss is called Anvil Head. A very descriptive name. And a very appropriate one. In theory, this is the easiest of the 3 big bosses. I'm not sure that it really is the easiest in the speedrun, though. It's pretty challenging. Very good to parry, though. Those floor sigils are the worst. Those are fun. Hello? Are you gonna attack me? Oh, very nice. One of the nice things is that just over the course of this run, you can take about like 5 seconds to pick up some boss drops that give you basically an extra heal. Just a really nice, easy safety. Yeah. So that's 2 out of 3 for our extra heal. Alright. I need to equip my stuff. And now, we're going to go back to Manzel's house finally to get the official conclusion to Act 1. The reason we waited until now is just so we could pick up a little bit more money and upgrade materials so we can upgrade our armor. Because our armor, upgrading our armor gives us a couple more stats. Manzel's like, yay, you did so good. We're like, I don't care. Manzel gives us an item that is supposed to lock entrance into Act 2. But it doesn't do a very good job of locking entrance into Act 2. But it does lock the fastest path to one of the bosses, so we're gonna still watch this cutscene for that. Here, I just hit a bunch of buttons. I don't really know what happens there. And we go over here to upgrade our armor. It's equipment. We upgrade the chest twice, hands once, the legs once. And then we're gonna head out. Over to this one. This is where we were. This is another part of the new reroute. So a little bit different than I'm used to. But yeah. We are going to the next boss we're gonna be fighting is the Quad Blade, which is my favorite boss in the run, I think. But in order to fight the Quad Blade, we have to go through quite an elaborate ritual. We need to jump over that guy. Otherwise they'll bring you into conversation. Which basically means we need to fight one boss and 2 mini-bosses just for the privilege of being allowed to fight the big boss. So that is what we're going to be doing this whole next section of the run. Notably, strictly speaking, the only thing that we have to do literally any of this weapon forging business for is the activation of one elevator. So the glitched run gets to nicely, basically just skip this entire act. You have to get like maybe one or two of the abilities from it, but you just don't have to fight any of the bosses. You can just clip through a wall and skip all that, which is pretty great. But unfortunately, the restricted run, the unrestricted run rather, kind of sucks right now. Another fast way to break walls with the burst jump to break walls. Yeah, so unfortunately, the wall clips are just really inconsistent right now. So just running restricted for the time being, but hopefully we'll figure out something, because it definitely creates just a completely different route. But here's our next boss, not the major one, but the one we need to fight in order to gain access to the major one. The Blade Mammoth. That's it. Let me dash counter it. That's like my character. That was a little spooky. So you can see that smashing block I summoned is just this big, crushing thing that takes a long time to fall. It could also deal damage to you. It deals almost all your health, so you gotta be careful with that. And it's not really super worth deploying on the bosses that we can just kind of parry to death easily. But there's one boss out there that we'll be very, very happy to have these smashing blocks for. And yeah, we're now like going through the passageway where you can't see anything into this big area where we're going to collect the ritual components. Farther? There we go. That's not what I meant to do. Alright. Yeah, so there's a sword enemy and an axe enemy coming up here. And we gotta kill them both. Here is sword one. It's actually a carbon copy of the boss that we fought here at the end of Act 1. But it does a little bit more damage. And that's it. Uh-oh. Yeah, that was unfortunate. All right, okay. That being the first death of the run, though, that's really good, actually. World record still has, like, 4 or 5 deaths in it, I think. So, and that's not really too bad of a death. That was really just there's a small enemy over to the side you saw there that you really don't want to aggro. So if you aggro that enemy, now you're suddenly fighting 2 enemies at once, and that's trouble in this game. It's really kind of the all the hardest parts of the run are not the parts where you fight the hard bosses. They're the parts where you fight normal enemies, because there's more than one of them. If there's only one of them, you can just parry all of its attacks. But if there's more than one of them, you gotta deal with multiple things. What a mess. It's not here yet. Alright. So we want to make sure we're sticking on this side of the arena. Hello? Okay. Really far from the hardest boss. Stay on this side. There we got that guy's torso, which is an important quest item. And we're going down here. Hopefully not die to all of these fools. Okay, that should be good. Got a nice little routing save here. Great. Okay. Here is the other place where I need to get a quest item. Bear is struggling to understand this person's dialect, even though it's pretty hard to pretty easy to understand, actually. We're gonna tell him that we already defeated the Blade Mammoth, and Vera's gonna go, haha, what? And then this guy's gonna get annoyed with us and throw the pen spears at us, which we need for this ritual. And honestly, fair, you know? Me and Vera are being really annoying to this guy right now. Like, come on. And then we will continue right up here to fight the axe version and get another torso. This game sure loves its body parts. Something that I perhaps should have mentioned, well, I certainly will mention in this submission description, is that this game has a bit of body horror in it. You know, especially hands. If you don't like hands in weird places, you know, you might not like this game. But I think the game's fantastic. It definitely is a lot less heavy on the body horror than its predecessor, Grime 1, as I continue to always forget that I need to go to the right here. I think both games are really just gorgeous, honestly, like, but they can definitely get a little bit icky for some people. I would never describe myself as a... Alright, cool. Sometimes the game just does that. Lets you respawn in spikes. This is here, yeah. Let me focus on trying to die to this platforming. Alright, we are at this very important safety save. Because this is the next boss. The next big boss. This one's not messing around. This is the Quad Blade, who will give us our second weapon part. You have all the pieces for the ritual to summon the Quad Blade. And the Quad Blade is, well, hopefully it's going to be going by real fast. Because, oh boy, can we parry this boss. Multiple times even on like half of its attacks. It's really a whole thing. However, this boss is really, really scary. Make no mistake. This boss will mess you up. This boss two-shots you, and he's really, really fast. Now we're going to the second phase, aka the terrifying phase. Okay, that's a lovely attack. Surrendering to us, but we don't have any normal damage, so we just wait for a smashing block to drop on it, and that's Quad Blade. We're gonna pick up our last little safety breath, and then get out of here. All right. Cool. And we are going to go back to this surrogate, and I am going to take a break. We have voted to allow breaks in these runs, so I know this is a submissions video, but it's a long run. I am going to exit to menu and pause the timer here. Yeah, I will be back shortly. Okay, I am back, and it's time to resume with the second half, third of the run. Yeah, let's click continue and resume that timer. Yeah, so we have 2 of the 3 weapon parts, and we are on our way to the 3rd. This is maybe the single most impactful boss for routing in the run, because not only do you have to do it last, pretty much, we think. There have been some weird glitches and patches on the order. You have to do this one last, is the at least superficial dev intention, and seems to be pretty fast too. But it also is the worst boss in the game to parry, and we sure love our parries here. So this is really the main reason we've picked up smashing blocks at all. And we're gonna pick up a couple more on the way. Right here. That guy nicely jumps and spikes for us. Alright, there's our 4 out of 4 smashing blocks. Missed that one. So we're gonna rely on a lot of very mixed sources of damage for this boss. It's definitely kind of the least the least good boss in the run for our speedrun strats. But you know, basically every other boss goes by so fast with parries, it's just not worth it to really spec into a weapon-based build just for one boss. So yeah, we're gonna go down here, and we're gonna get our last major ability of Act 2, the Grasp Slide. I remember where to go. This is, well, it's required to get to this boss, and for a couple little platforming challenges later, it's kind of, it's a little nice for movement too. It's just a required ability. we gotta grab it. Doesn't take too long to grab. Doesn't help that much. But yeah, we're going to be able to now slide in a direction out of our grasp. We're also invincible during that. Only when there's these grasp hook points. That's a little unfortunate. You can skip that one with a tight dash, but missed it. And now Vera's over there to talk about this mysterious big hole in the ground that's burning. That's probably pretty suspicious, but we don't have time to talk to them about it. We're just going to go down and find out for ourselves. Let's just heal here. It would be really nice to have full health for this part. Could save us a little bit of safety. Right, almost to the boss. This little section is the hardest part, again, because there's just some kind of annoying enemies in the way. So I gotta be careful here. Okay, that's okay. Not ideal, but it's okay. We're going to unlock this very slow safety. But this is the single worst death in the run to take. So this is just very much... it's this thing that I'm always taking in my runs now, because we're still dying a lot. And it's a thing that I would certainly take in a marathon. I'm going to return to checkpoint here for the fast full heal. And go back through our little shortcut we unlocked. Obviously takes like 30 seconds or something, but well worth it for all that safety it provides. And yeah, now we're gonna have some lovely lore. Vera's down here with us and has discovered that this is frail Mara, or rather her shell. Mara, deep lore. I don't know. She created all the people, and the other frails didn't like that. Basically, this whole game is like the lore of this game. I like to describe it as like it's just 100% like toxic Yuri between these four goddesses. I think that basically just sums it up. This is one of them. We're gonna kill her. Oops. And she does not like to be parried, so let's focus up. So we're actually switching back to the starter weapon here for this first phase, because there's a bug, we think, where there's one parryable attack that's supposed to be parryable and it just isn't in this first phase, exclusively the first time you fight the boss. So yeah, second and third phases we're going to be using our normal parry weapon again, but as you can see we literally parried 0 times that phase. Quite unfortunate. Got this cool phase transition. Very epic boss. Gonna pull her into the foreground. And now we can parry this attack. Succeed. Smashing blocks have done a good bit of work here. We're also gonna use some embedding nails for that final phase. Alright, nice. Like that is like, well, it's a grasp, but it doesn't even trigger a parry. Ah, that was spooky. This situation. Should be the last attack. Boss finishes with this big cinematic thing. Be careful. Don't die here. As you can see, this fight takes a while. There it is. So this is the final boss of Satiated. There are a bunch of cutscenes here. As you can see by the name of my next split. We get a big lore dump, everything, and this series of cutscenes culminates in the choice that marks the difference between Satiated %, the short category, and a proper full any % run. Basically our creator, question mark, will ask us if we are satiated or if we hunger for more. And if we say satiated, we're kicked out to the main menu, and that's the satiated run. If we say more, then we get to keep playing the game. So in this run, I will be keeping playing the game, but this would be the kind of wrapping up time for Satiated. And this would be absolutely a great time for donations in any %. And in Satiated perhaps, if you'd like. Or if in Satiated, this honestly starting now, we could probably do like runner shoutouts, introductions and such. Right? This is very much because this is just, it's going to come up on the end of the run. There's very little actual gameplay between now and the end of Satiated. It's effectively the ending cutscene of Satiated. All right, and we're out of here. Yeah, I mean, all this could be donations, runner shoutouts, etc. Whatever logistics stuff needs to happen. This is the time for logistics stuff. Time for drinking water. Got another story cutscene here that we have to get through before the final big cutscene. Don't care. One less noisy prey. Skip the conversation. We gotta reset the scene, basically. No, I wonder if you can just save and quit there. Wonder if that resets it. Wonder if it's faster to save and quit. Once we get load removal running, all the calculus will change as well. But for now, we're just gonna go here. Gonna give our 3 weapon parts to the breath smash. Do we save back in Act 1? We're gonna... And we're going to check if the weapon is ready. And your dog is going to tell us to talk to Bear on the top floor, which is a clever ruse for them to load new assets down there without us having to go back to our surrogate. Bear is not so happy that we killed Mara, actually. She liked Mara quite a bit. And we're going to say that we don't care because we're evil. And Bear's like, screw you, I'm leaving. Bye. And surely we will never see Vera again. The yoke is going to talk to us again, and we're going to say they were right. Yup. The evil, terrible force inside us is so correct. We want to get this all over with and destroy everything as fast as possible. And man's like, I want to get this over with, however. So we're going to skip the conversation. The weapon's ready. Look at that weapon. An Eargall. It's going to throw this weapon at us. Catch. I think maybe they should learn a little bit about weapon safety. After these little visual glitches, we are going to get the final in this string of cutscenes. We're back where we started. Turns out the weapon we crafted is not just a perfect weapon for getting revenge on the thing that Manzel wants to get revenge on. We hunger for more. It is in fact also the perfect weapon for defeating us. This, our friend there in the otherwhere is going to tell us that, yeah, that's bad. Don't go near that weapon. Just consume more of the world. How about that? And we're going to have that ominous cutscene. And we're going to head out. Our HUD is gone there. There's a weird glitch there until we press F1 to re-enable it. And we will now go over here to find that there is an unlocked elevator waiting for us. Oh, saved 6 seconds on the cutscene split. I'm so good at the game. We are properly into Act 3 now. Excuse me. Act 3 is going to consist of us basically going in another sort of linear path. Oh, it's not here. Towards the end game, where, yeah, we basically just need to progress the story by fighting 3 main big bosses in a row. As we kind of travel back to the left of the map, find out where the final boss is, and then go there. That's very much just a safety save. There's no real reason to grab that. But I might still do it in a marathon. Oh my god, oh, that is annoying. Oh my god, that guy's gonna snipe me. Yeah, we're picking up a couple more embedding nails here. Ow. Because these last bosses will really appreciate having some embedding nails, if I can remember how to do this. Another nice thing that that boss gave us there at the end is the boss gave us the ability that we no longer take damage from hazards. So spikes are really no matter anymore, but obviously, you know, they're still slow to run into. It actually loses us a tiny bit of time because we can't die as easily to warp out of one ability. So actually, I'm not convinced it actually loses time, but it was a strat that we were using. But we can no longer use. All right. And we are coming up on the 3rd to last boss of the run, and this is maybe my pick for the second one. Or second most likely to die to boss. This boss is spooky. This boss is spooky. This is the last sculptor. Oh, I also need to re-equip my weapons and armor. That's important. For some reason, this cutscene unequips all your weapons and armor, except for your base weapon. So that can happen. All right, a sculptor death is pretty reasonable here. Yeah, there's just a lot of this boss is pretty manageable, but there can be some really, really chaotic moments. Especially as the boss progresses. There we go. Oh, that one's good. Okay, let's heal. Well, I'll take it safe. What? Alright, that's crazy. Alright. This is okay. And we are very early in this game's lifespan, and, you know, dying to a couple bosses is a pretty realistic assumption of what a marathon run of this might look like. This is still substantially ahead of my PB, and maybe even on world record pace, despite all that. So, I don't need to pick this up. That's okay. All right. So a couple minutes of time lost there. But this is still a very good run. Now we got a pretty long platforming section. So probably another pretty good time for donations. As we progress towards our next major ability. Rest my voice since I've been talking for an hour and a half straight. We do have this new mechanic here in this area, which is this poison. Can be quite the nuisance. Will come into play once. Basically, you fill up a bar that's above your health, and after that, you get a poison effect that makes you continually take damage for a duration. We will probably fill that bar up exactly once. Let's run. Okay. Give me that ledge grab. continue upgrading that pliability stat for more parry damage. And this is the part of the run where we gotta handle the poison. Alright, here we do a little trick where we take advantage of the fact that the game sometimes just lets you dash from inside of spikes. And that is just a nice little shortcut to this ability. Cuts out, I don't know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and a lot of things. And here, not our last ability, actually. Our second to last ability, dash slide. We gotta go over here, and then we can turn to checkpoint. I exited to menu. That's fine. A little bit of bonus time loss from misclicking. This is a very interesting ability that lets you slide up walls or down after you dash into them, similar to the grapple slide, grasp slide that we got earlier. And we will see that in action a couple times. It's required in a couple places. But there it is. That's what it looks like. Can just dash into a wall and slide up. It also just is nice and fast. So we're never going to complain about an ability that helps us go a little bit faster. This is very bad. I actually don't know how you... I don't know if that's, like, if you can get past that attack, basically. Or if it's just RNG, you lose, like, 10 seconds there, which is very fun. I should probably lab that. It's a pretty long run. A lot of things to lab. This is where it's required, because you're invincible during that slide. Gotta get through that. There are spikes. Let's see. This is maybe the most fun little bit of movement in the game. Like, come on, you just keep dashing into the wall and sliding up it. Alright. Here we are in Skyrise. These last few areas just really go by fast. They're mostly just kind of running through them and doing platforming. With the Act 3 areas. This is just a safety. There's enemies here. Every enemy two-shots you at this point. And some of them one-shot you, so we're just taking judicious safeties so that we don't lose entire minutes. Okay. This guy doesn't want... I like going where I'm not welcome. Here we see in Act 3 that now that we have kind of made our choice that we are not satiated, we want to eat more. And I mean, like, really, who can blame them? But we sometimes only get one dialogue option. Just like, you know, I like going where I'm not welcome. There's no option to say anything other than that. So, let me down. Good job. This game has some really nice platforming in it. This section is just fun. Using all your abilities and going along these little rides. Grime 1 also did this with an endgame area that was really just this pure kind of platforming gauntlet. And I really appreciate this game for doing something similar with all these kind of Act 3 areas. You're already out of Skyrise there. This guy is gonna say that our outfit sucks, which fair. It's barely a couple of colors ago, all green, horrendous. I love how this dialogue doesn't change despite the fact that we are in fact also wearing all green. The yoke says it better be fetching us some snacks, and like I agree, I want some snacks. Here's another little safety. So yeah, it might seem a little silly to be taking all these safeties, but like you saw me run past like a couple of enemies there, but like any of those enemies, if I had made like a little mistake, could have just instantly killed me. So, because we, you know, have not upgraded our health or anything in this run, only our parry damage and exactly enough stats to wield this bow. That's maybe the epitome of why we take safety. That enemy can insta-kill you so easily. I would feel very lucky to not have immediately died there. The hidden perk of the dash slide ability is that you kind of get to also do it off of your super jump. It's kind of fun. You get to slide on ceilings. Really, I think it's a cool ability. I'm a fan. Going up here. Also, just shout out to this music. I'm a musician. I love video game music, and this soundtrack by Alex Rowe, definitely a fantastic one. This is my favorite soundtrack. There used to be a glitch where it would just disappear on you, and it was so sad. It was the worst glitch in the game, and thankfully they fixed the Starmire music glitch. But man, listen to it. It's so gorgeous. Coming up on our final ability, actually, of the run. And then it's just a little platforming and 2 more bosses. This is the hand jump, which is the world's weirdest double jump. I really do admire that they went out for something new, and it feels pretty cool to use, but it's very weird, and definitely takes some getting used to. Basically, you can jump off of the ground from above the ground, and it refreshes your dash and itself. So you get like one chance to jump off of something. You can jump off of spikes like that. You can jump off of these kind of weird floaty platforms. Oh, hello. All right. Again, just want to be really careful about this. Here we cannot aggro those enemies. It's very bad at protecting those enemies. We successfully did not aggro the enemies. And now we get a nice little scenic ride for this last bit of platforming. To really enjoy the music. There's a bunch of these things that you're supposed to do all these auto scrollers here. We had to do some of them earlier, but we don't have to do any of these ones. Oh, we have to do this. We got to skip a bunch of auto scrollers here by just using our new ability to jump off of the spikes instead. Here's the like biggest thing. There's all this stuff going on, but all we care about is, well, there's ground under those spikes. And yeah, it's time for the second to last boss after this little safety elevator. Hopefully it's a pretty fast elevator. But very important that we do this, because otherwise we have to do that entire platforming section again every time we try this boss. And, say it with me, it's a really hard boss. Oh man. I guess the impetus of the story here is that Manzel went to these people to try to get them to remove a barrier, preventing them from the revenge. And they say no, but we're gonna skip all that. They say no in a very roundabout way. And now we have to fight them both. This one, you're very astute. That happens sometimes. If you're particularly astute, you might have noticed that this is actually the person who was next to the person pretending to be First Smith Malik in the city back in Act 1. This is the true First Smith Malik. I don't know if it's ever really explained why. Why the pretending. Alright. Malik is going to try to do a really annoying long attack, but we can interrupt it with an embedding kill. It's huge. Yep. Alright. So now we've defeated Malik. We must defeat Marlissa. Marlissa is by far the more annoying of the two here. As you can see, we can really parry Malik pretty effectively. Marlissa does not like to be parried. So we're basically waiting for one attack, this attack. Thank you for demonstrating. Not my strongest response to that attack, but we can deal a lot of damage on that attack specifically. Trap! Dashed the wrong way. Alright, that's really unfortunate. That's a late death for the First Smiths. Definitely one of the harder attacks. There we go. I did not think that I was going to get hit by both of those. Oh well. This unfortunately is a boss where you have to beat both of them sequentially. And then a little bonus third phase. With both of them. Man. Alright, let's focus it. Get down here. So if you fail to interrupt that attack, which normally is actually just not possible without the items that we picked up, you get like a solid 10 seconds of time where you could not do anything to the boss. Okay. hit you? I'm unconvinced. Don't know if it did, but... Alright. Similar to this attack. This attack you can't interrupt, unfortunately. But Mans is here to help us. Oh, that just broke. Keep you in the damage field. Okay. Let me heal. Thank you. Alright, that's, yeah, I don't like that attack. Probably could have dealt with that better. Okay, nice. Let's finish it. Okay. Now we just got this little kind of bonus phase where we have to jump on these platforms. It's a little silly. And mostly serves to confuse casual players. But that's the entire fight. Oh my gosh. Well, a little rough with that death. Lost another couple minutes. It's not the best act 3, but we're still 6 minutes ahead of my PB, so... and I think... world record is going to be close. If I first try the final boss, which I very much did not do in my PB. I think we got a shot. Very sad reunion. They're dead now. Oof. But we got our final boss to kill. All the way back here in the mountains where we haven't been in so long. Turns out the final boss was lurking here this whole time. Vare is here to say, this sucks, you shouldn't have done any of this, and we don't care. We wouldn't miss this for anything. And we're in the Wanting Tree, the final area of the game. Got a little more platform. That really makes heavy use of the hand jump. Let's see. Again, probably don't need it, but we take the safeties where we get them. And this final boss is honestly not that bad. Certainly difficult, but it's very learnable. I find it to be a very, very, very good boss. That's not see, I am still getting used to some of the movement in this game. 2-hour-long run. We're gonna... Movement's gonna be... Take a little while to learn. Certainly by the time any showcase rolls around, I would be in much better shape. Oh, I don't know why that didn't work. I love this music too. It just really feels like you're on this climactic final climb. What will happen at the top? Happen at the top, you're going to meet Goel, the person that Manzel has wanted revenge on this entire time for making a mess of the whole world. Goel's just really bored. And looks a little like us. So it turns out, spoilers for Grime II, by the way, that Goel is actually another one of us. Another sort of our type of being that wants to consume everything. And Goel stopped itself from fighting and confined itself to this tree. Stopped itself from eating everything. And now we're kind of ruining everything by, you know, making their sacrifice for nothing. We need to not say, we need to not attack here. I need to say that I don't care about anyone in this world, so that Goel fights me as soon as possible. Goel is like, I will stop you, I will save the world. Alright, here we go. We're gonna go over to the corner. And we are going to bully Goel in this corner until they die. That is the plan for Goel. Goel, definitely mobile in some ways, but most of that mobility is going backwards. So we are going to be very happy to just stick in this corner. And parry, parry, parry. You know the drill. Interrupt all the attacks, parry. This is why I love this boss so much. It's just like so satisfying to bully it like this. You can see these parry numbers going absolutely crazy with full attunement stacks here. Did we just like one more parry before we get phase 2? Alright. Manzel has arrived. Goel wants help, but Manzel wants to stab Goel. The sword doesn't work because Goel has freed itself from the thing that wants to eat everything. And Goel's like, hey, you should use that sword to beat me. Oh wait, we gotta say, you are an artist. You should know by now. Art is meant to be consumed, and I am a great eater. Alright, anyway, Manzel is stubborn as usual, and is gonna fight both of us. Now we got this kind of weird three-way free-for-all thing. We can interrupt, thankfully, a lot of Goella's and Manzel's attacks. Oh, that was foolish. Don't die. Fine. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a scuff phase 2 so far. Manzel's attacks do technically hurt Goel. They just hurt us way more. Oh my god. Ah, that was a tough situation. All right. Looks like it was not about to be a world record anyway, but that is unfortunate. Still will be, hopefully, a pretty good PB. Ooh. Final boss again. So obviously this is going to end up being a little over an hour, a little over 2 hours, as I'm just going to stop shortly after the conclusion of this boss fight. I think could have done a little more of the before but the estimate's probably going to look like something like 2 hours or 2 hours 10. Obviously doesn't give a ton of leeway, but as you can see, this run is highly imperfect, shall we say. So by the time a marathon rolls around, certainly I'll be more practiced, and a run like this will look more like a marathon safe run than a PB run, you know? You can even see Goel has the little parry. I mean, I'll say this. I know, like, the trope of the final boss that's a mirror of you is done literally constantly. It's always cool. I don't care. Alright, and time will be coming up very shortly. After this lovely little cutscene with all these hands. And we are going to Goel is going to make one last stand with these weapons, and on the last weapon pull, that is time. And there we go. All right, a 2:03:52. That's a PB for me. I believe that is second place on the leaderboards. Don't totally quote me on that. Math might have a slightly better second place at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I'm grinding this run. I'm definitely going for sub 2. I anticipate that by within a couple months, the run will be down to somewhere in the 140s at the very least. And satiated currently. We're looking at like sub 130 as my PB is like a 127 or something. I anticipate that to go down to 115 or 120. Yeah, can look at this beautiful final cutscene. But yeah, that has been my submission video. A little bit of scuffed run, but you know, we'll make it work. It's a new game. I have been Zonk. I would love to showcase this awesome game. And God, this cutscene's beautiful. We got some little dialogue here, including the most important line in the game, which can be either memed upon or ignored, depending on the how the producers might feel about it. It is what you are, an insatiable hole. A real line of dialogue in this video game. And yeah, we stopped behind a good bit before credits because, oh man, it takes a long time to get to credits. Certainly, if you're on a tight schedule, we do not need to sit through this entire cutscene, but we may. And there, and Manzel have finally gotten the right idea and are stabbing us with this sword. You are mine, cherish, and see. There's some very interesting dialogue options. Prey can't fathom that it is better to be eaten than to rot. A pretty epic final cutscene. As the black hole on our head unravels. I don't really understand what's going on in this cutscene. True Grime lore experts will have to weigh in on this stuff, but yeah, that's Grime II. see, that was 2 hours 8 minutes of in-game time. In-game timer's a little messed up, but yeah. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you some other time.